Because my wife got promoted, the court gave me full custody. If you asked me 2 years ago to describe our life, I'd have told you we were solid. Stable. Married just over a decade, 2 kids, a house in the suburbs, and a rhythm that felt like second nature. Nicole and I weren't flashy, but we made a good team. She worked in corporate strategy for a mid-sized marketing firm based downtown, and for years, she had a pretty flexible setup, 2 or 3 days in the office, the rest of the week working from home. We liked it that way. It gave her more time with the kids and took the pressure off balancing everything between meetings and carpools. The kids, Ava, 9, and Ethan, 5, were used to having her around. Some mornings, I'd come back for dropping them off, and she'd already be on a call, pacing barefoot with coffee in one hand and her laptop open on the dining room table. It was chaos, but it worked, and I never resented it. I admired her for chasing a career while still showing up for bedtime stories and pancake mornings. She always made it look easy. But a few months ago, that rhythm changed. At first, it was small. She started saying she had more in-person meetings. Too much shifting internally, she said. Leadership wants us visible. One week, she only worked from home once. The next week, not at all. And then it became the new normal. 5 days in the office, sometimes late, sometimes overnight. She said the company was scaling and her team was handling major new accounts. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? She'd always been driven, and I was proud of her. I knew how much she wanted that next promotion. So when she told me she had to start going into the office more regularly, I didn't complain. I told her I'd handle the kids, adjust my own work schedule. I even rearranged my meetings to be more remote again, just so someone was always home in case of emergencies. I told myself it was just a phase, a big push before things leveled out again. But then she started traveling more. At first, it was the usual stuff, an overnight here, a 2-day trip there. Nothing unusual. Her job had always required some travel, but it picked up fast. Chicago 1 week, then Denver, then 2 back-to-back trips to the East Coast. She said it was all work, client presentations, conferences, cross-team alignments, the kind of stuff people gunned for to prove they could lead at the next level. And maybe that was true, but something about it felt different. Nicole started keeping a suitcase half-packed in the closet. She changed the way she dressed. More blazers, more heels. I noticed a second makeup bag she kept in her car. I noticed how she stopped checking in during the day. No more texts about what Ethan said at breakfast or how Ava left her lunchbox in the fridge again. When she came home, she was wiped. Done. Her eyes were distant. She still smiled, still asked about the kids, still leaned into my shoulder while we watched TV, but it felt more like habit than connection. I told myself I was being sensitive, that maybe I just missed her. We were both busy. My job had picked up too. I'd recently returned to the office 3 or 4 days a week myself after 2 years of mostly working remote. We were like ships in the night. I told myself that's what marriage looked like when 2 people were grinding for something better. But something about Nicole's travel schedule kept nagging at me. It wasn't just more frequent. It was inconsistent, unclear. She'd tell me she was going to one place, but forget to mention how long she'd be gone. Or she'd say she had a client dinner, then claim she ordered room service. There were no red flags exactly, just a strange fog where there used to be transparency. I started to notice how little she mentioned names anymore. It used to be, I had a call with Marcy today, or Alan keeps double booking people. Now it was all general, meetings, teams, the client. Vague, scripted. One night, I asked her how things were going with her team, and she blinked like I'd asked her something I wasn't supposed to. Then she smiled and said, busy, but good. It'll all be worth it soon. I told myself she meant a raise, or a promotion, or both. I still believed she was working for something real, something honest. And to be fair, she'd always been the one to carry us forward. She pushed us to buy the house when I was still hesitant. She handled every bit of paperwork when we refinanced. She never settled, so I chalked the distance up to ambition. Burnout, the natural wear of 2 grown adults trying to raise kids and build futures without falling apart. I didn't think she was hiding anything. Not yet. But something had changed. Something deep. Something she didn't want to talk about. And that silence was getting heavier by the week. Still, I said nothing. I told myself to be patient, that this was just a busy season. that she'd come back around. I didn't know then what was really pulling her away. I didn't know how far gone she already was. And I sure as hell didn't know the lie she was about to tell me next would shatter every last excuse I'd been giving her. I wasn't even supposed to be at Darren's place that night. He texted last minute asking if I could help fix a shelf bracket in his garage that had pulled loose. I figured why not? It was close, the kids were with Nicole's mom for the evening, and I hadn't had a chance to catch up with Darren in weeks. He's one of the few people in our neighborhood I actually consider a friend, not just away from the mailbox kind of guy. Our kids go to the same school, play in the same soccer league. Most weekends during the summer, we're flipping burgers in each other's yards while the kids run around spraying each other with hose water. And by coincidence, or maybe not so much coincidence anymore, Darren works at the same company as Nicole. Different department, more technical side, but same building, same executive team, same floor. So when he mentioned something about a company retreat, it didn't even register at first. We were tightening the final bolts on the wall mount when he said, "So, you guys going to the lake house this weekend?" I looked up. Lake house. Yeah, he said like it was obvious. The off-site. Nicole didn't say anything. I shook my head slowly. Don't think so. What's the occasion? Darren shrugged. Team building thing, I guess. Her boss Matt booked that crazy place with a fire pit and the private dock. You know, the one on the east side of the lake near those vacation cabins? My wife wanted to rent it for our anniversary, but it was booked solid for the next 3 months. Guess now I know why. I managed a laugh. Sounds fancy, right? He said. 3-day deal. Food, drinks, some activities. Matt's wife posted on Instagram about it last year. She called it a corporate getaway with champagne problems. He rolled his eyes. Anyway, Nicole's supposedly helping organize. That's why I figured you'd be going. I kept my voice steady. Maybe she forgot to mention it. Or maybe she didn't want to drag you into a bunch of work small talk and PowerPoint jokes, he said with a grin. I laughed along, changed the subject, and 20 minutes later I was back in my car, driving home on autopilot with 100 different alarms going off in my head. Nicole hadn't told me anything about a company retreat. Not a single word. Not even a mention in passing. But according to Darren, she wasn't just attending, she was helping plan it. And it was happening this weekend. Friday to Sunday. Less than an hour from our house. As soon as I got home, I checked the calendar we shared on our phones. She'd blocked off the weekend, but just labeled it work trip, Baltimore. I stared at it for a long time. Baltimore? Not a word about that before. Nothing about a summit, a flight, an overnight. But now, after Darren's story, it didn't feel like a coincidence. It felt like a cover. I didn't ask her about it that night. I didn't mention Darren or the lake house or anything. I just waited. And sure enough, the next morning over coffee, she said it. By the way, Nicole said, casually buttering a piece of toast, I have to fly out this weekend. I looked up from the kids' school forms. Oh yeah? Where to? Baltimore, she said. It's a strategy summit. They just finalized the schedule. Matt's sending a few of us from different departments to represent the regional team. Sounds big, I said. You nervous? Kind of, she admitted. But it's good exposure. I'll be gone Friday morning, back late Sunday. I'll miss Ethan's play. I feel terrible about that. I nodded slowly. We'll record it for you. You're the best, she said, leaning in to kiss my cheek. I'll make it up to him next week. I smiled, told her it was okay. But inside, everything went still. I watched her pack that night. She was deliberate, steaming her blouses, charging both her phones, even setting aside the expensive perfume she only ever wore for client dinners. She printed a fake itinerary. I knew it had to be fake because the summit she described didn't exist anywhere online. No mention on her company's site. No email. Nothing. I didn't ask. I didn't argue. I just offered to take care of the kids, like always, and told her I hoped the trip went well. She smiled and thanked me like nothing was wrong. Like she wasn't building a lie brick by brick, assuming I wouldn't notice. But I noticed. And I decided then I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. I was going to let her keep going. Let her get comfortable. Because while she was heading off to her fantasy weekend, I was heading somewhere too. The same lake house Darren had described. I pulled the property up online. An 8-bedroom vacation rental just an hour west, on the quiet edge of the lake, with pictures of a glowing dock, stone fireplaces, and a spacious private yard. The booking was under her company's name. And the dates? Friday through Sunday. I texted my mom and asked if she could take the kids for a sleepover. Nicole's traveling again, I told her. And I've got a work thing too. She agreed without hesitation. I dropped them off Thursday night, kissed their heads, packed a small bag, and Friday morning, I stood in the doorway watching Nicole wheel her suitcase to the car. She looked amazing, confident, fresh-pressed blazer, soft waves in her hair, high heels clacking on the driveway like punctuation. "Wish me luck," she said. "You'll crush it," I told her. She laughed, got in the car, and drove off, headed not for the airport but toward the interstate that led west, right toward the lake, not east, not to Baltimore. I stood there a while, watching until her car disappeared. Then I walked back inside, locked the door, and picked up my keys. I wasn't guessing anymore. I was going to see it for myself. I got to the lake house late Friday afternoon, about an hour after Nicole left the driveway. I didn't drive straight there. I took a long, slow route. Stopped for gas. Waited in a grocery store parking lot for 20 minutes just to calm myself down. I wasn't sure what I was doing. Not exactly. I didn't plan to barge in or catch her in some dramatic scene. I just needed the truth. Clean, undeniable, unfiltered. I needed to see it. The house sat on the edge of a quiet lake, tucked behind a narrow tree line. It was massive, 2 stories with wide windows, wood-paneled siding, and a wraparound deck with string lights that were already glowing as the sun started to dip. The driveway was full. 10, maybe 12 cars. Some were rentals. One was a sleek black SUV I recognized immediately. Matt Colburn's, Nicole's boss. I parked 2 streets away, left my car in front of an empty vacation lot, and walked the rest of the way through the trees. I stayed low, moving quietly, circling behind the property where the backyard met a thin clearing that opened to the dock. Laughter drifted through the air, people talking over each other, someone yelling about the grill, music playing low from outdoor speakers. I crouched near the edge of the woods and waited. I didn't know what I was hoping to see. Maybe just her face. Maybe a conversation. Maybe nothing. But I didn't wait long. She came out onto the deck, holding a drink, smiling. Hair curled, makeup perfect, sundress fluttering just slightly in the wind. It was a dress I hadn't seen before, tight at the waist, thin straps, light blue. She looked younger, lighter, free. She leaned over the railing, laughing at something someone said behind her. Then he stepped out. Matt, tall, tan, a little too confident in a casual polo shirt and drink in hand. He walked up beside her, close, too close. His hand touched her back. She didn't flinch, didn't move away. She smiled at him, said something I couldn't hear. Then they both walked inside together. My pulse was steady, but my jaw tightened. I moved quietly along the edge of the trees, toward the side of the house. There were tall windows along the living room, and the lights were warm inside. People gathered around a kitchen island, drinks in hand, casual, relaxed. I spotted Nicole again, now standing near Matt by the hallway that led to the back rooms. He leaned in, whispered something. She touched his arm. Then he turned and walked down the hallway. She waited a beat, looked around, then followed. I crept closer until I could just barely see the end of the hallway through the side window. The door to the last guest room opened. Matt stepped in. Nicole followed. She glanced back once. Then the door closed. My breath caught. I moved closer, carefully, quietly. The side of the house had an outdoor HVAC unit and a small set of steps leading to a basement entrance. I stood beside the unit, pressed to the wall, just under the edge of a cracked open window. That's when I heard it. Muffled voices. Then silence. Then something else. Something soft at first. Then clearer. Rhythmic. Familiar. Nicole's voice. That breathy, low sound I used to hear when she was mine. It wasn't loud, but it was enough. Enough to end any debate. Enough to shatter every lie. I stood there for maybe 30 seconds. Maybe a minute. I don't know. Time stopped. It wasn't rage I felt. It wasn't even heartbreak. It was silence. A cold, empty silence that crawled from my chest down to my fingertips. It was the sound of something dying. Not her. Not the marriage. Just the illusion. I backed away, one slow step at a time. I didn't want to hear anymore. I didn't need to. I walked back through the trees, found my car, and sat in the driver's seat staring at the dashboard until my vision cleared. I didn't cry. Didn't scream. I just breathed. Long, deep, slow breaths. Because now I knew. It wasn't a theory or suspicion. It wasn't paranoia. It was her. It was him. It was real. And she had no idea I'd seen it. That was the part that stuck with me the most. She had no idea she'd already been caught. No idea she just handed me the power she thought she controlled. She still thought I was home, taking care of the kids, trusting her like I always did. She thought the lie was safe. But it wasn't. That weekend, I stayed in a hotel 30 minutes away. Told my mom the kids could sleep over one more night, and she was happy to keep them. I needed space. Time to think. I didn't make a single call. Didn't send a single text. I sat in silence and wrote everything down, dates, times, what I saw, what I heard. I opened a private cloud folder and started documenting everything I could remember from the last few months. The sudden work trips, the missed school events, the calendar blocks, the excuses. I started building a timeline. Because now it wasn't just about betrayal. It was about proof. And the moment I saw her go into that room, the moment I heard her voice, she gave it to me. She gave me everything I needed. When she got back that Sunday night, she came in carrying the same suitcase, the same lie, the same smile. She kissed me like nothing had happened. Told me the summit went well. Said she was exhausted. I asked her if she wanted me to order dinner. She smiled and said, "That would be amazing." I handed her the takeout menu. Acted like I didn't know. Like I hadn't watched her walk into a bedroom with her boss and close the door behind them. Because I wasn't ready to confront her. Not yet. I had bigger plans. And the longer she thought she was safe, the more damage she'd do to her own story. She wanted to play two lives? Fine. I'd let her. But only one of us was keeping receipts. And I had just begun collecting mine. Nicole had no idea. That was the most surreal part. How easily she slipped back in her role. Wife, mother, career woman. Like she hadn't just spent a weekend tangled up with her boss in a house she swore didn't exist. Like she hadn't looked me in the eye and said Baltimore while she was packing sundresses and sunscreen. She got home late Sunday, dropped her suitcase in the hallway, hugged the kids like she hadn't missed Ethan's school play or Ava's swim meet, and said, "You wouldn't believe how exhausting this summit was." I stood there, arms crossed, watching her like I was seeing a stranger were my wife's face. "Was it worth it?" I asked. "All the travel." She smiled a little too quickly. "Yeah, absolutely. I think I made some serious impressions this weekend." She said it like it was a win for both of us. I told her I was proud. Then I walked into the kitchen, where I'd already started logging her missed parenting days into a spreadsheet I titled Custody Prep. From that point forward, every time she left the house, I tracked it. What she missed, how long she was gone, what excuse she gave. I even logged the moments when she was physically home but emotionally checked out. Those nights she zoned out on her phone while the kids brushed their teeth, the times she couldn't join us for dinner because she had to catch up on work calls. I didn't tell her I'd started taking more photos with the kids. Me at the playground, me cooking their meals, me attending their events. I didn't tell her that I was saving receipts for every grocery run, every pediatrician appointment, every school communication email she never replied to. She had no idea that every day she prioritized emergency meetings and overnight sessions was another nail in the coffin of her image as a stable parent. I kept everything in the cloud. Private folder. Password protected. I even added timestamps and locations to certain photos. Me taking Ava to ballet while Nicole was at a leadership dinner in what I now suspected was a hotel just 10 miles away. And through it all, I played the perfect partner. I smiled when she talked about work. I massaged her shoulders when she said her boss was driving her crazy. I told her I admired her when she came home late in a new outfit I'd never seen before. I even acted surprised when she said she might be in line for a promotion. "That's amazing," I said. "You deserve it." Inside, I was thinking, you deserve exactly what's coming. The thing about Nicole was she thought she was untouchable. Her confidence was part of what drew me to her all those years ago. But now, I realized it was the same confidence that made her sloppy. She didn't delete her hotel confirmation emails. She didn't notice that she stopped uploading photos to the shared family album. She never once asked why I suddenly insisted on handling the kids' school accounts and parent-teacher meetings by myself. She thought I was just being helpful, supportive, a great husband. She didn't know I'd met with a lawyer. Quietly, discreetly, a recommendation from a friend. We met at his office 2 towns over, where I laid it all out without emotion. Just facts, travel logs, photos, records. Do you have proof of the affair? He asked. I nodded. Not visual, but I witnessed enough to testify. And I got logs, timestamps, co-workers who could be subpoenaed. He leaned back. We don't need pictures. If we frame this around abandonment and prioritization of career over family, especially with the ages of your kids, it becomes a custody argument, not just a morality one. Keep collecting. Stay calm. Let her keep digging the hole. And that's exactly what I did. Nicole kept traveling, kept working late, kept tossing out half-truths, and assuming I was still cheering from the sidelines. One night, she asked if I thought she was being a good role model for Ava. I almost laughed, but instead I said, she's going to grow up knowing how powerful her mom is. Nicole beamed, kissed me, went upstairs to sleep early. I stayed downstairs with my laptop, importing more documents into my file, screenshots of her text saying she couldn't make Ava's school meeting, even though I'd seen her at the bar across town with co-workers that same night. There were moments I wanted to scream, to confront her, to ask how she could look our children in the eyes and pretend she was doing it all for us. But I didn't. I kept my cool, kept being dad, the reliable one, the bedtime reader, the morning lunch packer, the parent who showed up every time. The kids didn't say anything directly, but I noticed it. Ava started coming to me with her school worries. Ethan clung a little tighter when Nicole walked past him on the phone without noticing. Nicole thought she was winning. She thought she had both worlds in her hands, career and family, the thrill and the stability. But what she didn't realize was that the more she chased her boss's approval, the more she disappeared from her own kids' lives. And one day soon, a judge would see that too. I even started recording small videos, me brushing Ethan's teeth, helping Ava with her project, both kids asking, "Is Mom coming home tonight?" I didn't tell them anything. I just said, "She's busy with work. But I'm here." I always said that last part. I'm here. Nicole's boss posted photos from another team dinner the following week. A rooftop bar. Same dress Nicole wore when she told me she was attending a boardroom strategy night. Her face wasn't in the photos, but her necklace was. I saved them all. Dated. Cataloged. At this point, I had everything. The only thing missing was Nicole's final mistake. The last card she'd play, thinking it was her win. I didn't have to wait long. It came on a Thursday evening, 1 month after I saw her at the lake house. I was helping Ethan finish his Lego castle while Ava practiced a speech for class, when Nicole walked in holding a small bottle of wine and smiling from ear to ear. "I have news," she said. I looked up. "Yeah." She grinned. "I got promoted. Regional Director of Strategy. Matt put my name in personally. I'm going to be leading the national rollout team." I stood up and hugged her. "That's incredible." "There's more," she said, eyes glowing. "It means more travel. Like a lot more. I'll be overseeing teams in 3 different states. They're giving me a full relocation package if I need it. A company apartment downtown. I mean, this is it." I kissed her cheek and told her we should celebrate. But in my head, I was already seeing the custody papers print out in my lawyer's office. More travel, more absence, a company apartment, less time at home, less time with the kids, and best of all, proof that she was officially choosing her career over being a present parent. She handed me everything I needed in that moment, and she had no idea she had already lost. She thought she just won the game, but I was already holding the checkmate. Nicole thought she was flying. After the promotion, everything about her changed. Her voice, her posture, the way she walked through the house like she had somewhere more important to be. She was radiant, confident, humming with energy. She started leaving early and coming home later, telling the kids it was just for now and worth it in the long run. Ethan didn't understand what that meant. Ava stopped asking altogether. She just kept doing her homework at the kitchen table while Nicole talked about regional projections over speakerphone from the living room. She moved into a different orbit, and I let her. I told her I was proud. I helped pack her bag when she flew out again the next week. I acted like I wasn't counting the hours she was gone, even though I was. The moment she announced that promotion, my lawyer and I moved forward. He said I'd never get sole custody unless I could prove Nicole's new role directly impacted her ability to parent, specifically that it showed consistent absence, prioritization of work over childcare, and instability. So that's exactly what we did. My file was airtight. I had a calendar showing every trip she took over the last 6 months. Photos of school events she missed, screenshots of texts where she promised to be home and didn't show. The retreat lie was the centerpiece. Her on the guest list, co-worker stories from that weekend, even Darren's willingness to write a statement if needed. The hotel receipts. The shift in parenting responsibility. The complete lack of presence. But the best part, the part one never saw coming, was the corporate apartment. Nicole told me one night over dinner, with a glass of wine in her hand, that the company was offering her a studio in the city for flexibility. She said she'd only stay there sometimes. When a schedule gets too crazy, she added. It's not like I'm moving out. But she already had. I filed the divorce petition 3 days later. I didn't tell her right away. I waited until the paperwork was signed, stamped, and served. She got on a Tuesday morning, delivered to her at the office by a process server in a suit. She called me that afternoon, furious. What is this? She snapped over the phone. What is this custody motion? You're blindsiding me. I kept my voice calm. It's not a blindside, Nicole. You've barely been here. I've been raising the kids. You've been living out of hotels. Because of work. Because I'm building something for all of us. You don't even know what Ethan had for lunch yesterday, I said quietly. There was silence. You're not serious, she finally said. You're really doing this? I already did. The court date was set 2 weeks later. Nicole tried to pivot. She texted constantly, sent long messages about how we could work it out, how the travel was just temporary, how she never meant to disappear. She even asked if I'd consider mediation for the kids' sake. But I knew the difference between guilt and remorse. She wasn't sorry she lied. She was sorry she got caught. I didn't respond to half the messages. I kept things civil, focused only on the kids. Ava needed a new pair of glasses. Ethan's field trip was coming up. Nicole offered to take him, but then had to reschedule a meeting. I documented everything. The day of the hearing, she showed up in a tailored gray dress, perfectly composed. Her lawyer spoke first. He talked about her career, her income, her ability to provide. He said her travel schedule was manageable and that she had the resources to hire help. He even implied I was trying to punish her for growing professionally. Then my lawyer stood up, and one by one, we laid it all out. The photos, the travel logs, the evidence of her missed time, the apartment, the retreat lie, the timeline. The court fell quiet when we played one of the clips, Ethan asking where Mommy was during bedtime. She's probably working, he said softly, but I wish she'd read the book tonight. Nicole looked down. For the first time, she didn't speak, didn't interrupt, just sat frozen, blinking too fast. The judge didn't need long. When the ruling came, it was exactly what I'd hoped for. Primary custody awarded to me. Nicole granted visitation and shared holidays, but only with strict scheduling guidelines. Travel coordination required. No surprise o overnights. No inconsistent dependencies. She looked shell-shocked. Afterward, in the hallway outside the courtroom, she pulled me aside. How could you do this to me? She whispered. To me? You still there. I didn't do anything to you. You walked out the door. I just made sure the kids didn't walk out with you. You're punishing me for taking a promotion? She hissed. You're punishing me for being successful. No, I said. I'm punishing you for lying. For cheating. For thinking you could live 2 lives and still call yourself a mother when it was convenient. Her face fell. You knew. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. She stepped back like I'd hit her. But I didn't feel anything. Not hate. Not satisfaction. Just a cold, final stillness. I walked away. Outside the courthouse, I sat in my car for 10 minutes, staring at my reflection in the rearview mirror. I wasn't happy, but I was free. Nicole built her new life one lie at a time. And in the end, it cost her everything that actually mattered. A career can keep you warm, but it won't hold your kids when they're scared. It won't laugh at the dinner table. It won't remember your promises. Nicole thought she was unstoppable, but in chasing more, she lost what she already had. And now I was the one left standing, holding on to what was real. Do you think she would have still chosen the promotion if she knew it would cost her the kids?